Welcome back. It was a busy weekend in Texas politics, so to break it all down for us, we're joined tonight by political analyst Harvey Kronberg. Harvey, welcome to the studio. Let's start with what Rena just looked at. Harvey, what do you make of the interview John Cornyn gave the New York Times last week as someone who's covered him for decades?
It's good to see John Cornyn being John Cornyn again, because he was having to prostrate himself to the president for the last, God, how many months in order to try and at least keep him out of endorsing. No, he was honest. John Cornyn's a conservative Republican, and he'll now vote as a conservative Republican, not a Trump Republican.
Was there anything that surprised you from the interview?
The honesty that he had about the difficulty the Republican ticket may be confronting going forward. It's a pretty damaged ticket in a lot of ways, and in addition to which, he did say that the president's going to have a really tough 2 years. That I think the phrase was that the very phrase that the president used with Zelensky, he doesn't have any cards. And if the election goes like it looks like it's going to go today, I think that's probably true. They're going to lose the House, and the Senate's in play, and then it's going to be a pretty grim 2 years for the president.
Well, to continue that analogy that the senator made about the cards, he said we do have some cards, meaning the senators who are now ousted in their primaries. But what do you foresee as John Cornyn doing? I mean, he's not going to go, it doesn't seem like he's the type of guy to go all out and oppose everything the president does.
That's why I said he's well, one of the things that did surprise me was how up front he was in terms of the immunity the president has in terms of the IRS. It looks like he's trying to find a vehicle to prevent that from happening. And I think that's just good government. I think that's another albatross around the neck of the Republicans, that the president's living on a different plane in terms of legal liability than the average American citizen.
Now, at the state Republican convention, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick called Cornyn a, quote, sore loser. At a time when they're talking about party unity, could that hurt in trying to bring Cornyn voters into the fold for November?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to bridge differences now, not escalate differences. And rather than honor the senator for his service, et cetera, and say it was a hard-fought campaign, he decided to excoriate him for all practical purposes. I would argue that the Republicans can't get across the finish line unless all of the Republicans turn out, and it's a pretty fragmented party right now.
Patrick also took aim at the Democrat in this race, saying James Tallarico would, quote, go to hell for his views on the Bible. How does that play around the state, Harvey? Because Tallarico is trying to win over some Christian voters, but we know that Lieutenant Governor Patrick, he really has risen to power on the backs of Christian conservatives.
Well, I think actually it's more regional than it is religious, and that is they admit that they're probably going to lose Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin. They have to have as a matter of fact, Patrick said, we have to have a huge turnout from West Texas, and that is the language of West Texas. Rural Texas is accusing Tallarico of being blasphemous. And he has some statements, obviously, out there that are going to come back, that have been haunting him. Whether they prove to be determinative, I don't know. It's not going to change a bunch of votes. What it's intended to do is energize that base to come out, and they've got to have a decisive number out of West Texas and East Texas, and that's the rhetoric that works.
All right, that's Harvey Kronberg. Thanks so much for joining the show.
My pleasure.